What's going on, everyone? Today we're going to be talking about DoFILMingo, releasing in Sat 4 next month. This is to help you get started on building your deck to get you ready for the next format. So let's take a look at the Dofi leader. It's very simple. End of your turn, set up to 2 of your Dawn cards as active. So this leader essentially guarantees you can play events at the end of every turn, because as long as you tap down, you'll have 2 extra to use, making this a powerhouse. So we'll start off with the characters. These are all the staples. Most of these are going to be a 4 of, and a lot of it's going to be the film package because we're focusing on film Dofi. You could technically play the Don Quixote family, but we're going to focus on the film build, which is arguably the better, more consistent build. So first up, we have Nami on play / when attacking. Pay 1 Dawn, look at 3 cards from the top of your deck, reveal up to 1 film type card other than Nami and add it to your hand, then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. You want to play 4 Nami. It's the Searcher. It pairs well with the Luffy, plus it generates value both on play and when attacking to keep the hand count high. Then we have the 7-drop Luffy. It's a blocker. On play, play up to 1 film or Straw Hat crew type character with a cost of 4 or less from your hand. So you can do the film, do Straw Hat. Amazing card. It allows you to play the Uda. And he allows you to play up to 14 Dawn worth of characters. With Brook, if you play him, you go Luffy, Brook, Nami, and you get 2 Dawn back, so your 7 to 8 Dawn turn could really be a 16 Dawn value, plus potentially a card from Nami if it's your 8 curve. The best play, though, is usually Uda, because then you can stop 3 attacks, plus Uta into the Dofi 10-drop turn can be big to ensure the 3 rest value. Then we have Sugar. Card's insane. Opponent's turn, once per turn. When your opponent plays a character, if your leader is of the Don Quixote Pirates or Don Quixote Pirates type, rest up to 1 of your opponent's characters, then rest this card. So anytime they play something once per turn, you can rest Sugar to rest it, and then on play, rest up to 1 of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less. It is leader locked and is an absolute pain to deal with. Red is really the only deck that can out this easy. Otherwise, they have to sacrifice card to rest, and they have to swing big. But we have events, so it takes a large commitment. And you can rest their blockers because you can rest any card. So if they play just even something small, you can like rest something big. Huge value. One of the best cards in the deck. 4 of for sure. And then we have Don Quixote Doflamingo, the 10-drop Dofi on play. A total of up to 3 of your opponent's rested characters or leaders do not become active during your opponent's next refresh phase. So it freezes them for a whole turn. And outside of the mirror, he pretty much guarantees the win if you still have life / board. He's almost like the 10-drop Luffy, because if you block 3 rested, you pretty much don't have another turn. And your turn's pretty much ate up just playing new characters. Best case, they have 3 more swings. But on top of playing him in Doflamingo, you get 2 Dawn to protect yourself. So you're not maxing out on play. And you're playing a powerful 10, and you're just not leaving yourself open. Then we have Uda, the best card to play with Luffy, as you get 2 blockers. Again, stops 3 attacks because you can use Uda effect. Dawn -1, rest up to 1 of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. So it's based off of cost. You can rest something nice, something they just played. Solid card. Definitely a 4 of. You play it with the Luffy. Guild Tesoro, Dawn -2. When attacking, draw 2 cards. Simple. Pot of Greed. And Pot of Greed's never been bad. This card is the first... or this deck is the first to fully be able to take advantage of this card. Again, Dofi really wants to big hand out here and have these events, since the deck has a lot more non-counter cards than normal. Plus, after dropping the 10-drop, you can go swing, draw 2, and you still get 2 Dawn back. And on your next turn, you'll be back at 10. So this card's a beast in late game and a threat your opponent will have to deal with, or you're going to generate a ton of value. Might be the only card, though, that you don't have to play a 4 of here on this list. And then we have Buena. He's the Searcher and the 2K. Literally amazing. 4 of, but he gets you all your film cards. Then we have for the events, because again, you get 2 Dawn at the end, so you can play any 2 Dawn event for free. Punk Gibson, it's amazing out of life, and in my opinion, a staple. I have seen some lists that don't play it. Zoro's still relevant in this format, and it's great against Zoro and also Yellow with their 3 drops. I'd play it at 4. Then we have Spiderweb, best card. It's brand new. This lets you block with Luffy out of 11k and restand for another block. So it's counter up to one of your leaders or characters gain plus 4,000, then set up to one of your characters as active. On top of that, you can use it to counter out of any attack, and if you used like Luffy to block or to swing, you can untap him. So you can use like your blockers as swingers and just untap them as well. So just huge value all around. And then we have Bagua. And then it's your leader or up to one of your characters gain plus 4,000. Then if you have 2 or less life cards, add 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck and rest it. And then also trigger add 1 Dawn instead it's active. So very great out of life, and it helps you ramp. So I played at 4. I've played it at 2. But every list I've seen has played it at 4. And then we'll take a look at the optional characters. So you can use these to fill up your space. The staples will take up about 38 to 40 cards. So a big chunk, because basically everything I just showed is a 4 for the most part. But don't be afraid to test different ratios. But essentially you'll have room for probably about 14 or less cards, best case. So first up we have Kid. 8 drop Kid. He's essentially an 8k leader. Plus you can play Nami off of him. Always been a pain. You do have these big blockers, but he is an option. Now I also put the 2K here as well. So essentially the 2Ks are Chopper and Shiki. You do want to play others outside of Buena. And so these 2 are searchable. You could play the others if you really wanted to, but these ones are searchable off of Nami. Plus Chopper doesn't have a terrible effect. Like you can rest up to a 2 cost or less, so you can potentially get rid of some of those blockers and rest those. So he's semi-relevant. And then Shiki just has a trigger that you're never going to use. Shiki is just a 2K. But I recommend you play about 6 to 8 2Ks, but that doesn't leave you a ton of room afterwards, so do keep that in mind. Another card, of course, is Brook. This lets you get that 14/16 Dawn turn that I had mentioned, because you can go Luffy into Brook. Brook does have counter, which is also nice, into Nami, and then you get 2 Dawn back at the end of your turn. Pretty self-explanatory, amazing card, great in Film Kid. Roanoa Zoro, just a vanilla. He's just the body, but overall very solid. I've seen a couple play the vanillas. And then we have Diamante. Diamante is just guaranteed to restand because he's Dawn X1. If you have 2 or more active Dawn, set this character as active. So you attach a Dawn, Dofi activates, you get 2 back. Diamante activates, restands. So he swings and he's going to be a blocker. And he pretty much stops any free 5k swings. So overall pretty solid. We have Bart. He was good in Film Kid, and he helps protect Nami in the early game. I tried him out of 1 build. It's okay. But at the end of your turn, you rest him, and then you set a film character as active. So you could go swing Nami, get the value, and then just guarantee it. So it's not the worst in the early game. And then we have Ain. Ain, early Dofis in Japan played her. For ramp, she does have no combo, which is unfortunate, but she does, you get 1 Dawn rested, and she's searchable, so that's cool. And we have just some more vanillas. I've seen Herbie played 3-5, and then also Bins, both of these, but Carrot can be played off of Brook, and then they both can be played off of Luffy, because Luffy is film or the others, but yeah. I've seen people play these just for the bodies, because those do sometimes matter. And then, of course, 6Ks are just better than 5Ks. And then let's look at some optional events. So first up, we have Paradise Waterfall. Euro leader or up to one of your characters gain plus 2,000. That's up to one of your characters as active. You could use 2 of these, and it combos well with the Luffy. So you can go Luffy. If they swing 7, block, give 1 card, and then you restand the Luffy. And then you could block again, and if you had 2, you could do it again and counter out pretty much 8k swing for free. So very good there. I've seen some people play this. Then we have Don Quixote family. It's really just a searcher. Helps you get the 10 drop or get the sugar. But outside of that, it isn't phenomenal. It does get like the event too. But I've seen some people play this. I wouldn't, but it is an option. It is an option. We want to consider all options. We also have Flap Thread. If your leader is a Don Quixote pirate, up to one of your leader or characters gain plus 2,000. Not amazing, but it does have a solid trigger. So if it is in your life, you can K up to one of your opponents rested for cost or less. But pretty much just the trigger effect there. I haven't played this. This weaklings can't choose the way they main and counter, so kind of like crossfire. You can use it during either. It does require you to leave 5 standing up though if you use it for the counter, and it's kind of crazy though because you can rest up to one of your opponent's leaders or characters, then KO up to one of your opponent's rested 6k or lower characters, so it can stop an attack during their turn. It can KO. You can also use it to rest something to swing on. This is 1 to 2 max. I've played it at 1, just because like sometimes if it shows up, it's nice, but you don't want to see like more than one of these. Then we have just some more of those counter events. Hell's Judgment, arguably one of the best cards in purple. One of the reasons Magellan was even semi-relevant in topping. It's Don -1. Give up to 2 of your opponent's leaders or characters minus 3,000 power during this turn. So essentially any 7k swing or lower, you stop 2 of those for 1 card. Very strong. It does put you back 1 Don, so it's better in the 10 once you know you can regenerate that. Otherwise, it does put you back a curve. However, it's amazing. And then I also, again, these are just optional. You could play Gum Jet Gatling. It essentially acts as a pseudo 2k, but it also can turn any non-counter card into a 1k, and it doesn't cost any Don. And then it does have a trigger to ramp. So it is an option. And then I'm so mixed on this card here, but it is playable. It is searchable, which is why I like it, but it doesn't work for your leader. It's Union Armada up to, it's a counter up to one of your film type leaders. So you can't use it there. Or characters. We can use it there. Gain plus 4,000 during this battle. If that card is a character, that character cannot be KO'd during this turn. So you can have your Luffy block with it, counter, and then they just can't out the Luffy, so you're guaranteed to have it next turn. Plus, it does have the trigger to ramp, add 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck, and set it as active. This, at best, is going to be like a 2 of, but it is playable. Overall, these are all of the cards here that you can play in Dofi. Sure, there are some other cards, but I think these are the strongest choices out of all of them. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like this content or if you found it of value, let me know in the comments. And if you aren't subscribed to the channel, if you would consider doing me a favor, subscribe. I would appreciate it. It helps me partner with other content creators and just put out more value for you all. And as always, thank you so much for watching.